Here's what happened during week 1 of The Greenhouse Season 4. 11 new players and 1 returnee entered the Greenhouse game, including Ava, who, according to her, is a good liar and a bit of a rambler. Gavin, who hosts his own reality show, quick plug.
Home Alone.
Dylan, who's a little bit narcissistic and who is in more frames of any given episode than any other contestant I've ever seen. John Michael, who's a teacher who's really into this kind of stuff. Jessica, the first boot from season 2, who's also a 2-time crowned most talented talent. Ross, who's very dry and sometimes I genuinely can't tell if he's joking, like when he said that he's fashionable. Kelby, who's here to play an honest game. Caleb, the most joyful from his high school experience, who's a big fan of the show, hi Lightning Plush. Victoria, who is out for blood when she plays Clue with her family. Kim, who's really into chess and really happy to be here. Anthony, who's killed every plant he's ever owned. And Ruby, who's 60% nervous, 40% excited. As the players arrived, we had 2 players who were, count 'em, 2 hours late. The players got to know each other as they waited for the final players to arrive. Jessica was quickly on Kelby's radar because Jessica revealed that she's played games before and has done well, even though she was booted first in the Greenhouse Season 2. Ava and Gavin know each other from Gavin's reality show, and the 2 plan to work together moving forward, very closely and very secretively. Ross was making a bit of an impression by refusing to play in Jackbox games with the rest of the cast. He didn't want to come across as a big threat. The problem? He told everybody this. And people like Dylan picked up on Ross's willingness to lay low despite really wanting to win this. Finally, Seth and Brock showed up. They're 2 friends who went out last night. The theme of the day is board games. How fun. If you roll with it, we'll roll with it. To start things off, players spun the Wheel of Life to determine which 4 players would be team captains for the first challenge only. We gave players buff to signify which teams they were on, even though the teams meant nothing after the first challenge. Kind of interesting. Gavin and Caleb were not selected to be on the team and were blocked from competing in the first Greenhouse Challenge. However, the 2 of them got an early start on a seed hunt, specifically the Twister Hunt. After searching around the house for an item that contained all the colors of a Twister board, Caleb found the seed and Gavin and Caleb agreed to work together as the 2 players who were left out of the group. For the Greenhouse Challenge, teams were competing in 3 different challenges, with the last place team being eliminated each round. First, the gray team was eliminated of Ava, John Michael, and Jessica. They decided to go for the Trouble Hunt, in which they had to choose 1 teammate to try to get nominated. As soon as that player was nominated, the other 2 members of that team would receive a seed. They chose Jessica as the troublemaker, so whenever Jessica gets nominated, Ava and John Michael will split 2 seats. Back at the challenge, the teams were playing Don't Break the Ice, and Ross started hammering on the block that the penguin was on. I still genuinely don't know if he was joking or not. After Ross, Dylan, and Kim, the purple team, were eliminated, they decided to go for the Risk Hunt. Caleb and Gavin were watching from the sidelines, and they agreed that they wanted to work with the purple team the most. The final part of the first Greenhouse Challenge was a game of Connect 4 between the red team and the green team. Ultimately, it was the 2 late bloomers, Seth and Brock, along with their teammate Kelby, that entered the greenhouse. The gray team, Jessica, John Michael, and Ava, agreed to keep the troublemaker power a secret. They agreed that Jessica would just say that the hunt was situational and that they didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Dylan, Ross, and Kim solidified an alliance as a purple team, and they agreed to work together in the seed hunt however possible. And then, after a fairly uneventful risk hunt, it was Ross who took away the seed. The green team, the last team eliminated, played the Yahtzee hunt, which was just a dice stacking competition. Anthony won the seed there. Back at the flower picking ceremony, Seth became Sunflower, Brock was the Rose, and Kelby took the Tulip. And the two players who knew the least about everyone were the most powerful in the game. Kelby warned Seth and Brock that the entire house discussed eliminating them because they were so late, so this was a big opportunity for them to find footing in the game. As the greenhouse players exited the greenhouse, they were met by a slew of contestants. Specifically, they were met by Jessica, who started talking about how much of a team player she was, and how her hunt was mysterious. It might have been a good thing, it might have been a bad thing, they don't really know, but whenever something's triggered, that thing will be triggered, and it will happen. On the side, Jessica, John Michael, Gavin, Ava, and Caleb were thinking, oh shit, because the whole house had pretty much agreed that the two late players would be in hot water for the first round. And now those players were in charge of the week. Brock told Dylan and Caleb that he wanted the red and purple teams to work together, with Gavin and Caleb, the outsiders, forming a group of 8. The Seed and Immunity Challenge was running throughout the entire nomination cycle. We were playing Candyland, and players had to identify flavors of different Dum-Dums. Victoria had an interesting strategy for the week. She said that she didn't plan on talking to the members of the greenhouse because if they didn't remember her, they wouldn't put her up. Kelby, Brock, and Seth met with all of the contestants as a unit. Brock told Seth and Kelby about his plan to work with Caleb, Gavin, and the purple team, which was Kim, Dylan, and Ross. They were up for it. Additionally, they agreed that they were off-put by the way Jessica approached them so quickly after the greenhouse. It seemed like she was really interested in playing hard, fast. Dylan told Kim about the purple team and red team alliance, which was pitched by Brock. Dylan said he wasn't really trying to work with the red team, but since they're in power, they have to go with it. When Ava met with the greenhouse, she told them that they should put up a pawn, but that pawn probably shouldn't be Ava. Not that Ava's uncomfortable with it, of course, but I mean, if you have to put up Ava, you can put up Ava. She more or less talks herself into being a potential pawn.
So I spoke to them, I said a lot of words, and I tried to convince them to keep certain people. The number one person that I want to stay in this game is Gavin. So I slipped it in there that Gavin's a cool guy, I feel comfortable around him. And they said that they like Gavin too, he's a cool guy. So I was like, okay. The words, they just spew out of my mouth. I started saying, well, maybe you should like nominate someone who is, you know, like vibing with everyone, like no one really dislikes them. And they were like, you? And I was like, I didn't want to say like, oh no, not me, because then that makes me look like I'm like trying to throw other people onto the chopping block.
Brock, Seth, and Kelby took note that Ava said that she was close to Jessica when Ava met with the greenhouse. Because Jessica's the primary target for the greenhouse, they want to make sure to block Ava's vote in order to remove support for Jessica in the house. Then a large group came up to the greenhouse, and Seth and Brock began making jokes about how they were on a throne and how people should start bringing them grapes and things like that. It was honestly iconic of them. Jessica met with the greenhouse and she explained that she's a team player, and also she told them the truth about her seed hunt, that if she was nominated, her teammates, John Michael and Ava, would each receive a seed. Dylan told Gavin about the 8-person alliance between the purple team, the red team, Gavin, and Caleb. He and Gavin also solidified how close their bond was. Dylan also told Ross about the 8-person alliance, and the two talked about how close their bond was. Yes, I'm using the same words on purpose.
I feel comfortable with the people who were on my team, which was Dylan and Kim. And I feel like everyone I've talked to is pretty nice. And so I'm just gonna ride the nice wave until that wave doesn't carry me anymore. And then I'll make a change. But for now, I'm just gonna keep on. I want people to view me as friend first, ally second. Because it's hard to vote out your friends. You don't want to hurt your friends' feelings. And so if I can keep on hopefully ingratiating myself with everyone, we'll do that until we can't do it anymore, and then we'll adjust. I just think it's probably too early to start making something that's concrete. I want it to be a little bit more fluid for now, but at the same time, I want to lock in as much as I can to other people's top. Pick a number, 5 or 6 or whatever, because the more people's top whatever I'm in, the lower chance I have of going up. So that's the game we're gonna play for now.
Gavin started to try to loop Ava into different conversations with people that he trusted, like Kim and Ross, who were in the 8-person alliance that was forming. Kelby, Brock, and Seth wanted to put up a pawn from the alliance in order to give that person a seed. They were originally thinking Ross. However, after talking to Kim, the 4 of them agreed that Ross would probably be targeted while Kim would be a more likely successful pawn. So Kim said she would be down to be nominated, and then they discussed a potential signal to let her know that she would be going up. Kelby offered to block Caleb's vote. However, because Caleb already found an extra seed, he asked not to get his vote blocked because he didn't want to have too many powers on his hands to become a target. Outside, Dylan was forming another alliance with Anthony and Ruby, saying that the 3 of them could pull in Kelby and make an alliance of the people who slept over the night before the game. And yes, Dylan has already hit 10,000 steps for the day.
I feel very lukewarm. I don't feel great. I don't feel awful. It's the first round, so I feel like it's like too early to really feel anything. So I'm just kind of taking it as it is. I've talked to a couple people, and like I've gotten like a good to like, yeah, I like you like me, I got your back, you got my back. So that's happened a little bit. But other than that, I have no idea what's happening.
Have you talked to the greenhouse?
No.
You haven't?
No, that's why I was waiting out there.
Okay.
But I don't want to like come on too strong to them, because I don't want to be like, don't send me home. But I want to talk to them. That's why I was waiting. But then I was doing the challenge for a while, so that took a bit. And I didn't want to be a part of like the initial pack that all went, so I'm gonna talk to them before the challenges are over. Dylan and I were gonna talk to them together.
Mm-hmm. Who are your closest people right now, would you say?
Definitely Dylan, John Michael, Victoria, and Anthony, I would say.
Anthony and Ruby went with their friend Dylan up to the greenhouse members to try to pitch why they should stay. Anthony said that he went for immunity because he already won an extra seat, not because that he didn't trust the greenhouse members. But when Anthony and Ruby went outside after the exchange, they agreed that they didn't feel great and that they expected to be on the block this week. However, they agreed that Jessica was probably another option to get nominated, and they felt confident that they could beat her in the vote. Jessica told Ava and John Michael that she revealed everything about their seed hunt to the members of the greenhouse. She felt like she couldn't keep the lie going anymore.
I'm feeling a little uneasy at the moment, just because I don't know Brock and Seth all that well. I do not know where they are lying. I am glad that Jessica told him about the quote-unquote advantage, or what we got from the trouble thing from the seed hunt. But I'm hoping when I go talk to him that I'm in the clear. Hopefully, I've stayed quiet and on the low for this round. So I'm hoping that they don't see me as a threat, because I've just been kind of vibing and not doing anything else. But besides that, I'm feeling pretty good. Alliance-wise, I have no alliance, but me, Anthony, and Ruby are kind of vibing a little bit more than anything. So I kind of want to keep them close by, and then go ahead and take Jessica and Ava with us, just for those extra votes if we need to.
I was very intimidated by Jessica, and I feel like she is gonna pull a lot of strings. Honestly, like going into this game, I thought that Jessica was gonna be my enemy, so I decided, keep your enemies close. And I put her on my team, and now I really actually like her, and I think that she's a good player, so I don't wanna vote her out or anything, so I feel like I'm in a good position being in cahoots with her. But the moment that, you know, she starts flipping things around and people are viewing her as like too strong, then I'm definitely gonna cut ties so that they don't come for me next.
Dylan once again went to the greenhouse members, and this time he was on a mission. He told them that Jessica wanted to target Seth and Brock next round, and she was actively recruiting people to do it. Kelby, Seth, and Dylan decided that Jessica had to go this week, and they discussed how they could get it done. Specifically, Kim would still be the pawn. However, they could nominate Jessica's ally, Ava, to remove Ava's vote without giving her a vote for later. They would block Gavin's vote to give him an extra vote as an ally, and they would also block Anthony's vote, who had mentioned being close to Jessica before.
So we are giving our thanks, or I guess I am giving thanks to Gavin, which we have a core 8 with us 3 on the red team, the purple, which is Kim, Ross, and Dylan, and then Gavin and Caleb. And so we wanted to give Gavin a bank to where we could reuse it later. And then we wanted to get someone not in our alliance a bank, but we are looking at Jessica. And so we felt like Anthony was kind of with Jessica, so to block his vote for this round. But I do feel really good with Anthony. So I felt like that's why, like, another thing, like me on the side from the team could give him that, like, advantage for later. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Kelby just told me that she is going to take my vote, which, you know, double-edged sword, because on one hand that means I'm not going up, which I was really scared that was going to happen. I really thought Brock was going to put me up. Really glad that she told me before going in, because that would be a little shocking. I kind of wondered if she was going to take my vote, not because of any reason other than we felt good about each other. I know she was really stressing about, like, who do I do? Like, who do I pick? So that's where I'm at the moment. Feel really good about Ruby and John Michael. We have all kind of confirmed that we are each other's, like, top 2. Do want to work with Kelby, but need to see where the next couple rounds kind of take us. But I do feel good about her. Don't feel good about Seth and Brock. Yeah, I do also feel really good about Dylan. So yeah, very few people I feel nervous about. But yeah, glad that I'm not going up, and that means I have a bank vote, so that could help me later with some of the people that I am making allies can build trust there.
So who would you say is your closest ally right now?
Ruby, without a doubt. Yeah. Ruby is someone that I feel like I can trust. I never want to say I can trust anyone 100%, but like a good 98. Like, I think she's really got my back, and I got hers.
Cool.
Ava and Gavin met one-on-one for the first time of the season. They agreed to protect each other moving forward and to try to spread out their connections in order to increase their safety.
It seems like there is an alliance forming between those 3, me and Caleb, the 2 that weren't picked, and I forget which color team, but the one with Kim, Ross, and Dylan. Us all together, seems like we're all agreeing that none of us are going to be put up, and we will have the majority. So if they're not lying to me, I feel pretty good about where I am. I do think I'm on the bottom of that alliance, but that's okay because I can work from there. Just for the first few rounds, this is a good spot to be in. I feel much better.
Who are you closest to right now?
That is tough. I want to be closest to Ross and Dylan and Kim, but I'm not sure if they're reciprocating that. It's really hard to get chances to talk one-on-one when there's still so many people in the game right now, because it's obvious when you see people talking, and I just feel like everyone's lying to me, but I'm not sure if they are. So Ava, I think, would definitely be my number 1 still. We're not showing that to people. We're trying not to. We've been in big groups talking together, but that was our first time talking one-on-one just now that we did. But we have each other's backs.
At the nomination ceremony, Kim was revealed to have won the seed competition and Ross won the immunity competition. And Jessica, Ava, and Kim were nominated as planned. Because Jessica was nominated as the troublemaker, her 2 teammates, John Michael and Ava, each received a seed. Ava sat down with the members of the greenhouse and asked them why she was put up. When they explained it was because of her connection to Jessica, Ava said that she was happy to vote out Jessica. If anything, she was aligning with Jessica because she was threatened by Jessica. Jessica then sat down with Ava and asked her about her conversation with the greenhouse. Jessica pretty much accused Ava of getting Jessica nominated in order to get a seed for herself and send Jessica home week 1. Meanwhile, members of the large alliance, Ross, Kim, Gavin, and Caleb, discussed the vote. The general consensus was to vote out Ava this week, because if Jessica stayed, she would be a good shield for the alliance because her target would only get bigger. Gavin, who's close with Ava, kept trying to make sure that Jessica's name was the main one on the chopping block.
What am I supposed to do? The 3 people nominated, one of them is in my majority alliance, okay? That's Kim. Love her. One of them is my main girl, the one I came in here with, Ava, the one I swore I would always defend and do anything to keep her safe. And then the third one is Jessica, who was voted off first in the last time she played the greenhouse. All 3 of those are like the worst case scenario. I could never choose any of them. Oh my god, I need to pull Ava in a one-on-one. I need to tell her to play her uproot. She has enough. I'm gonna go try and find Ava.
Gavin warned Ava that people were interested in eliminating Ava over Jessica, so Ava had to go for the uproot in order to save herself. Outside, Dylan told the greenhouse that Ava was gaining votes for elimination. They decided to try to get Kim to buy the uproot in order to get Kim to vote in the banishment, which would hopefully give them the majority. Dylan went upstairs, told Kim the plan, and they stacked up seeds on Kim in order for her to try to buy the uproot. However, when Ava told the greenhouse about her plan to buy the uproot for herself and to vote out Jessica herself, they agreed that that was the better plan since Ava was a target while Kim was not. Ava also mentioned that people were talking about voting out Seth and Brock next week, specifically a lot of the guys. After Ava left the room, Kelby said that it sounded like Ava was talking about their allies since most of their alliance were other men in the house. Seth and Brock said that was nothing to worry about. Ava bid 3 seeds on uproot, and outside, the greenhouse told Kim that she didn't need to bid for uproot anymore because she was definitely going to stay over Jessica, while Ava would potentially go home over Jessica. Because Jessica was the target, they needed Ava to get the uproot. Seth told Ross and Gavin about the plan, and they were down, especially Gavin, who wanted to see Ava stay. He didn't say this though, obviously. Jessica and Kelby had a heart-to-heart, in which Kelby told Jessica that the greenhouse was told that Jessica was outright targeting Seth and Brock. This shocked Jessica because Jessica never said this. Uh-oh. Kelby doesn't reveal where that information came from. At the end of the auction, Ava purchased uproot for 3 seeds, and the final nominees were Kim and Jessica. Gavin and Anthony's votes were banked as promised. In preparation for the vote, Jessica sat down with Brock and Seth and tried to explain how they had been told lies about Jessica. Jessica was not targeting them, and whoever said that was actively throwing her under the bus. Seth and Brock talked after that conversation, and they didn't really believe Jessica. Meanwhile, popular Kim was gathering votes, especially from people outside of her main alliance, like Ruby and Victoria.
I feel nervous. I feel great about the greenhouse. I feel great about my original purple team. And whoever was in good graces with the greenhouse people, I think I also have them. I think the greenhouse people have my back, and they've talked to as many people as they can to convince them to not vote me out. And I just talked to a group of people that I haven't really spoken to yet before, and I think they're like, yeah, it's just a game. We'll choose what we think is best. And I told them that if they keep me, my alliances with them are strong. Strong as a brick. Anyway, that's all.
It turns out, I didn't know this, Dylan and Caleb knew each other before the game. They have played online games together before, and they agreed to work together and keep each other in the game. At the banishment, Ross, even though he wanted to keep Kim in the game, voted against Kim as a stray vote in order to sow some distrust in the house. And at the banishment, Jessica was eliminated first for the second time. I'm gutted. For the second Greenhouse Challenge, we played Trivial Pursuit, in which players tried to spike trivia questions in order to eliminate other players from the challenge. John Michael was on a winning streak. He got several questions correct in a row, eliminating most of the cast from the challenge. But ultimately, after John Michael gave a wrong answer, it was Seth, Ross, and Dylan who entered the greenhouse, 3 members of the big 8-person alliance. Seth got the rose, Dylan got the sunflower, and Ross got the tulip. For the Operation Seed Immunity Challenge, Anthony won 2 seeds and Kelby won immunity. The members of the greenhouse during the Seed Immunity Challenge discussed their plans for the week. They agreed that they wanted to target John Michael because of his strong performance in the Greenhouse Challenge. Whenever they heard the results that Anthony won 2 seeds, they thought that they should also put up Anthony in order to drain his seeds potentially. Also, they were interested in putting up one member from the 8-person alliance with the sunflower in order to secure another seed for the group. Seth ultimately agreed that Brock would be up for being a pawn because he's a team player, and against John Michael, he should stay. And with that, we have the beginnings of week 2 of the Greenhouse Season 4. Who are you rooting for? Who do you think's going home next? Find out next time on the Greenhouse Season 4.